What's going on, guys? It's Chris here and welcome back to my channel, and you are watching today the basic guide to Machina Infinitrack or Earth Machine or Dozer Control or whatever you want to call it. Now I must give you a slight warning with this deck, because this deck is the chaddiest of Chad decks. This makes those Dragon Link players cowered in the corner. Eldlich the Golden Lord? What's that? Ha, Alistair, I used to summon that 4 years in a row. I don't now, and that's because this deck has given me the physique that I need. I was once a young boy, very, very, very weak, cowering in the corner, flipping my Subterra Guru and asking if the effect was okay. I no longer do that. You know why? Because I now look like this. Yes, this. Look at him. I am superior to everybody because this deck is so goddamn fun. And that is what you should be having when you're playing this game. Fun! The deck is not only fun, it is very good and very competitive, and we are going to be going over everything you need to know about it, from the core, some cool techs, my deck list, and of course, one or two of the combos you're going to need to learn. Without further ado, we're going to get into the basic core of the deck. So we will start with the core. This is what your core is going to look like, and we're going to go into each card in detail and the ratios and why we have chosen them right now. But what you need to know is these 27 cards, in my opinion, are not changeable. Not only the ratios and that, but this is by far the most successful, superior build, and if you go look at any deck profile, they will be playing these 27 cards along with the 6 or 7 cards in the extra deck right now. Moving on to that, you have 13 spaces. So, you know, when you're starting, you need to decide what are these 13 spaces. Well, you've got, of course, some text. You've got, of course, some hand traps. A lot of things. Now, these are some cards that you could easily fill with those 13 spaces, and we're going to explain them right now. You do a combo in this deck that allows you to search any Earth machine, and a good Earth machine you can search is GIZMEK. For those of you who do not know what GIZMEK does, is if a monster is special summoned from the main or extra deck, you can special summon this card. Every time your opponent is going to normal or special summon, they take a slight burn damage of 300. And, of course, when it is normal or special summoned, you can target a face-up monster your opponent controls and spec one monster from your deck whose attack and defense is the exact same. Now, you can easily, and I mean easily, special summon from the deck with the Machina Overdrive. This is the 3-0 staple in your deck and starts your Machina engine on your opponent's turn. So that makes GIZMEK not only searchable but easy to trigger. But what are you going to summon? And this is where the card kind of falls off. The barrier statues are more than likely the best targets, but this is very format dependent, as of course if you're in a format that is heavily dominated by something like Crystron Needle Fiber, which was not so long ago, people were teching GIZMEK to summon the water barrier statue to not only stop the Halka Fibrax combo, but stop their whole turn entirely. It's handy to know this because it might come back into the meta at some point, but in my opinion, out of all of these techs right now, it is the least likely to put in your deck, but definitely not something you should sleep on, and if you ever get caught using this combo, no one is going to judge you, as it is very, very good. We move on to Flying Pegasus Railroad Stampede. This is a card that a lot of people have used in Earth Machine decks before, and if the card is normal or special summoned, you can target an Earth Machine monster in your graveyard, accept a copy of itself, special summon it in defense, its effects are negated. You can also target another monster on the field, and that level and this level becomes the same. It basically means a free XYZ. You can make anything, rank 7s, 8s, 9s, 10s. This deck does it all. It's also Earth, it's also Machine, it is another normal summon, which is kind of an issue, but it does get effect when it's special summoned, and you can easily special summon stuff from your hand. Again, also being Earth Machine makes it searchable. Ally of Justice Cycle Reader is very format dependent as it only stops lights, but something you definitely need to be aware of with the upcoming DRYTRON stuff coming out. DRYTRON will become back into the meta at probably a fairly high status, maybe tier 1, maybe tier 2. Right now it isn't doing much, but you got to remember that it isn't the only light deck out of there. ELDLICH is a deck, and it is light, and they do summon from the grave, and this can stop that matchup. Ally of Justice Cycle Reader is something that I have tested several times, and you'll see where it lies when I show you the deck list that I'm playing right now. Urgent Schedule is another good card that you could use to fill those 13 slots. And remember, if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, you get to spec 1 level 4 or lower and 1 level 5 or higher. This helps you facilitate stuff in your grave. All of the level 5 or higher Infinitracks mostly require stuff on the grave, so their on-field effects being negated is not a problem. On top of that, you can also special summon your big trains in order to facilitate OTKs, or just set up boards to stall for turns. This card is mostly going second, but can be done if your opponent uses something like Cyframe Gear Gamma on your normal summon when you use the effect of Harvester or Metal Cruncher, one of your play starters, and Gamma is seeing a lot of play in the meta right now, so Urgent Schedule is something that you can play. Next we move on to some traps and some floodgates. GIZMEK and Rivalry are both very good targets for the deck. You are playing Earths and Machines, and pretty much only Earths and Machines, with the exception of a handful of things in the extra deck. Rivalry will of course lock you into only Machines, and could become very meta, especially when we get into a format that isn't dominated by just dragons. GIZMEK on the other hand is, in my opinion, slightly better, but in this instance it could be very dependent on your locals or tournaments you're attending at the time, but in my opinion them locking into a single attribute is much harder to deal with right now than a single type. All of your main deck is exactly Earth, and like I said, 90% of your extra deck you usually play is also Earth. Next we move on to some normal traps. You are a control based deck, you do have some pretty cool combos in there that allow you to OTK, and not only that, you can also draw too, so playing these floodgates and traps is pretty good. You're already playing the normal trap Machina Overdrive, which we have mentioned is a pretty much staple 3 of, so Trap Trick is a very good target because seeing Overdrive makes that turn go from a 6 right the way to a 10, and if you're going to play Trap Trick, you may as well play some other normal traps. Some good normal traps in the format right now for this deck is EMR. You get to tribute a monster that has 1,000 attack or more, and then destroy a card on the field for each 1,000 attack it has. All of your trains are huge. Derek Crane is 2,800 and Bullet Train is 3,000, and you summon these almost every turn. So particularly yesterday, which was my locals by the way, I had an EMR set and I summoned Bullet Train on my opponent's turn. My opponent proceeded to set a bunch of back row and I managed to EMR the entire back row line. I citadeled all the monsters, EMR'd the 3 back row, he had nothing in hand, nothing on board, and I was free to do what I want. Ice Dragon's Prison is a phenomenal normal trap, although very pricey right now, constantly getting bought out after buyout after bought out after buyout. The card is skyrocketing, but it is more than likely going to be in the 2021 Megatins, which before you know it will be on shelves. The card lets you special summon something from your grave, which helps you facilitate easy things like link climbing, but of course its effects are negated, and you can banish a monster from both sides of the field. The most prominent target for this would be to special summon the Dragoon targets to pop the Dragoon. It's banished, it's not destroyed, it is an easy out to Dragoon, and that is why the card is spiking a lot in price right now. And it's not just Dragoon, but Dragoon is a card in the format and you do need to be aware of it. Paleozoic Dynamiscus is a little bit more of a cheaper alternative to the Ice Dragon's Prison. You get to target a face-up card on the field, which is cost, so you can't target Dragoon, but it is still banished. Remember, the target is the cost, and the discard is the effect, so if this gets negated, you do not discard. And of course, if you train another trap, you get to special summon it as a monster. That's always nice. You do play a lot of traps. You get the free body on board every time you train Overdrive or any of your other traps. That's always nice as well. And the last normal trap we're going to play is Torrential Tribute. It destroys all monsters on the field. You really don't care about having monsters on your side of the field. When an Earth Machine monster you control will be destroyed, you do actually get to trigger cards like Machina Citadel in the grave. On top of that, you do a lot of special summoning from the grave. Your grave is basically your second field. So when constantly board wiping the board is kind of the aim of the game of the deck. And last but not least, Solemn Strike, if you're not feeling the normal traps in the trap tree, is a phenomenal card. Prankids, which is a very popular deck right now, just can't play through a single Solemn Strike, and you know, Prankids did do very well in the recent LCS. Or maybe you're not feeling traps, maybe you're not a control trap player and you don't want to hide behind your floodgates. Well, that's fine. Chock-a-block your deck with hand traps. You have 13 spaces, so you know hand traps are pretty good. Ash, Nibiru, Bell, Droll, Crow, all very good in the format. Veiler's okay. We also have Imperm later on, which kind of falls nicely into this as it's also a normal trap and a trap tricks target. Other than that, you might want to splash the cash on Forbidden Droplet, or a card that we have missed actually, Triple Tactical Talents. Triple Tactical Talents is another phenomenal card in the deck that I haven't added to this list of things. Triple Tactical Talents is also going to take control of an opponent's monster, be another Dragoon out, or a potential draw 2 to help you dig even further into the combo. Being able to do the standard combo, draw 2 and then maybe draw into a talent that allows you to draw another 2 is phenomenal and something that's definitely worth testing. Something that I've literally just come up with right now and might change my build when we go into the next segment. And the last card is Foolish Burial. It's a good card, and getting some of the things in the grave is pretty good. I haven't seen many lists talk about Foolish Burial, but you kind of want to get your Citadel in the grave, Tunneler in the grave at some point if you don't do the combo, and, you know, stuff in the grave, like I said, is pretty good, so, you know, it's only one of. Foolish Burial is pretty good. And the last card that I haven't put on here, which I have actually tested, is Reasoning. You activate a card from the top of your deck, your opponent declares a level from 1 to 12. If it's that level, it's pain. If not, you get the special summon. And believe me when I say you run level 2s, level 5s, level 4s, level 7s, level 9s, level 10s, on top of, like, if you're running hand traps, you're going to be running level 3s and level 1s. It is phenomenal. You might be running Ally of Justice Catasta, not Catasta, sorry, Cycle Reader, that's level 3. Maybe you're running Barrier Statues, that's level 4. You know, got Uka, which is, what, 7? You know, you're running so many levels, so Reasoning is a really good option. The side and extra is also very, very, very dependent to you. A lot of people kind of run the standard stuff. Zeus, because you're running a lot of XZs, all the rank 10 train package, along with the Juggernaut Libre, for the level 9s into Blathnir and Earth Slicer, because VFD is banned. Level 8s, you're going to usually run Dingirsu. And then after you've run the standard levels, you usually have 2 or 3 spots free to do whatever you want. So we're going to talk about a few of those cards. The first card we're going to mention, which I haven't put in here, is Cleafort Genius. You get to target a card you control and a card your opponent controls, and they're both negated. Sometimes this isn't an issue for you because your stuff's already negated. Maybe you've summoned it off Urgent Schedule, or you've already used the effects and it's pretty pointless anyway. Or you can also target your continuous spell, which searches your Infinitrack's heavy forward. That also can allow you to negate a monster on your opponent's turn as well. Gigan X is a card that I have tested several times. It requires 2 level 4 machine monsters, which is easily doable off a 1.5 card combo. Half card combo meaning that is a 1 card combo with a discard. You can easily make this or any rank 8, and this can search any level 4 or lower machine monster from your deck. In particularly, the Ally of Justice Cycle Reader. Very good in that Eldlich matchup, like I said, and the DRYTRON matchup, something I would highly recommend. And the last card I have been testing recently, and have seen teched in a few decks, is Gaia Dragon the Thunder Charger. This is a card that I decided to play yesterday, and it did come up. You can slap this on top of a rank 5 or rank 6, and you might be wondering, well, what's the point? Well, it is as follows. The Infinitrack level 5 or rank 5 XZ Riverstormer, you can summon it from the grave by tributing a Earth Link machine monster. When you special summon the Riverstormer back, the Goliath that you've usually used for it attaches itself as material. You then detach that material for a search, and you can slap this on top of that, and then attack with it. And then you can slap a Zeus on top of this, and your Zeus is live. So playing the Gaia Dragon the Thunder Charger essentially allows you to be able to search and still have the Zeus live, as opposed to having to decide between the two. With that in mind, you're going to go ahead now and set your 27 card deck up, pick some of these techs. Maybe there's some that you've missed, you know, maybe there's some I've missed, maybe there's some that you are feeling, maybe you have that secret tech that I don't know about. Techs are always up to you, but as long as you have this 27 card lineup right here, you should be pretty good. Let's go on to my deck, explain the card by card choice a little bit more, and then go into the combos for the deck. And this is the most recent build, or the most successful build of the deck that I have recently had. Like I said, this isn't the most optimal build, it's all up to you, it's also local dependent, format dependent if you're watching this video in the future. We're going to explain the card by card choice and exactly what everything does right now. Starting off with one copy of Infinitrack Anchor Drill. When this card is normal or special summoned, you get to spec a Earth Machine monster from your hand in defense position, except a copy of itself. You can also target any machine monster you control, and the levels of them both become combined. This is one of two cards that allow your level manipulation in order to make any of the XYZs possible. A handy thing to note with this card is you can target Machine a Fortress and itself to become level 12 to hard make Divine a ZEUS, which your opponent won't see coming because they're used to it just being slapped on top of another XZ, and when you go rank 12 and they go, eh? It's always a fun sight. Moving on, we're running 3 copies of Infinitrack Brutal Dozer. You get to tribute any Earth Machine to special summon this card from your hand. Once it's special summoned, you get to special summon any Infinitrack monster from your deck in defense position, but its effects are negated, and it also locks you into Earth Machines for the rest of the turn. What you want to do is do every combo you can that doesn't lock you into Earth Machines before you start special summoning this Brutal Dozer. This Brutal Dozer usually gets you one of your 2 other level 5s, allowing you to make rank 5 plays into Riverstormer, allowing you to search the other engines. Infinitrack Harvester is one of your 12 play starters in the deck. When it's normal or special summoned, you get to add an Infinitrack monster from your deck to your hand. And this is also the other card that lets you target a card on the field and manipulate the levels combined. One handy thing to note with this card is, of course, it also gets its effect when it's special summoned. So being able to send this card to the grave and special summon it back off Trencher, Monster Reborn, or anything like that is pretty good. And like I also mentioned, you run 12 play starters in this deck, giving you an 85% chance of actually opening one and allowing you to do the full combo. Next, we're on 2 copies of Trencher. This lets you, once again, tribute an Earth Machine monster to special summon this card in defense position. It does absolutely nothing on the field, but when it's in the grave, you can banish this card to target a level 5 or lower Infinitrack monster in your grave, except itself, special summon it. And its effects are not negated. So you can special summon a copy of Anchor Drill from the grave and spec another one from your hand. You can spec a Harvester from the grave, search a card. It is all Gucci goo. And the last Infinitrack card we are running is Infinitrack Tunneler. This is your in-archetype Pot of Avarice that is going to make this deck go up to 11. You can tribute an Earth Machine monster to special summon this card, blah 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 blah. You can banish this card from your graveyard, target 5 Earth Machine monsters in your graveyard, shuffle them all into the deck, and draw 2. And you might be asking, how are we going to get 5 Earth Machines in the grave so fast? Well, this is where your first extra deck card comes into play. Infinitrack Goliath literally requires a non-link Infinitrack monster to make, and you have to run all 3 copies of this because you're going to be using it every single turn, and you're going to more than likely use all 3 every single turn. Next, we're going to move on to a second play starter, Machine and Metal Cruncher. If you control no face-up cards, you can normal summon this card without tributing, but its original attack becomes 1800. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can reveal 3 Earth Machine monsters from your deck. Your opponent chooses 1 at random, you shuffle the rest back into your deck, and you add the random 1 to your hand. If you have Brutal Dozer, you can easily get access to one of the 3 trains here, which is why we have opted to run double Derrick Crane as opposed to a single one. This isn't mandatory, you can easily get away with a single one. You could also probably get away with 3, the card is very good. Ideally though, when you do normal summon this card, you do want to get Brutal Dozer, and this is going to start your plays in order to dump all the Goliaths in the grave and do the Draw 2 combo. We are opting to main the Ally of Justice Cycle Reader, and this is probably the most controversial pick in this deck. For me, this card is phenomenal, and at worst is a discard. If the Ally of Justice Cycle Reader is not good in the matchup, you don't do the combo to search the Ally of Justice Cycle Reader. That's simply it. And it makes the deck super easy to side out, as this is a free side out. I know it's not ideal to look at it that way, but in my opinion I would rather have the Ally of Justice Cycle Reader in the back of my mind that when I'm playing like an Eldlich matchup, a Dogmatica matchup, something rogue with lights, I know I can easily search this and have an out at any point. Next, we're running one copy of Citadel. This is a in-archetype, searchable, special summonable, everything all in one Regeki. Yep, that's right, Regeki. This thing cannot be normal summoned set, must be special summoned by a card effect, which can be itself or a copy of Machina Overdrive, by the way. And if a Earth Machine monster you control except itself is sent to the graveyard. Oh no, how are we going to do that? No one's going to be able to destroy it by battle, card effects, anything along those lines. When it is destroyed by battle or card effects, sent to the graveyard by your opponent in any way, shape or form, this thing special summon itself. And once per turn you can target a machine monster you control, destroy it, and all monsters your opponent controls with attack less than or equal to it. You can, of course, target itself. 3,000, by the way. 3,000. It's also level 10 and helps make rank 10 trains very, very easy. Next, we are running the oldest card in the deck. This card is older than me. It's not, but it may as well be. Machina Fortress. You can discard machine monsters whose levels equal more than 8, including itself, by the way. There is a weird interaction, weird ruling. You can discard itself and something else to special summon this card. You can target, if it's targeted by an opponent's card effect, you get to rip a card from your opponent's hand. More importantly, this helps you dump stuff to the grave. Free special summon every turn. You can get it back from the grave. Very, very good. And last but not least, we are running one brick, which is Ancient Gearbox. If it's added from your deck to your hand, or graveyard to your hand, add a machine earth monster with 500 attack or defense. This searches Anchor Drill, Trencher, and Tunneler. These are 3 cards that are easily recycled back with some later cards. Next, our first tech card, Ash Blossom. It's Ash Blossom, probably the best hand trap in the game. Super Express Bullet Train is very important for this deck, and of course if you only control Earth Machines, you can spec it from your hand. More importantly, when it's sent to the grave and the end phase, you get to add a card back to your hand. You get to add any machine monster in your grave, except itself, back to your hand. This thing can recycle ZEUS, by the way. This thing can recycle ZEUS, by the way. I've had that happen. Yeah, that's a thing. You've got to remember that ZEUS is a machine and it can be recycled with this. More importantly, what you're probably going to end up doing is recycling your Ancient Gearbox in order to get another search. This is what is an infinite resource loop, meaning you're never going to run out of resources. Now comes a little bit of sad news, but just to go to show this deck works. I lost my first game of locals last night. My very first game of locals. Not for a long time, I just lost my first game in my first round. 58 minutes into the hour, by the way. We were on turn like 36. He ran out of resources. I still had everything in my deck. I could still do all of my combos. But I had 3 really bad draws in a row that didn't matter, and he eventually put me to 0. And then I started siding, and then the judge came and was like, that's time on the round, by the way. And I was like, oh, he's like, are you just starting game 3? I was like, no, we're just starting game 2. So this infinite resource loop is not to be slept on, by the way, and is very, very good. Moving on to the last one, Heavy Freight Train DRYTRON. If an Earth Machine monster is normal or special summoned, you can spec it from your hand. It also chain blocks. That is an important thing to know, and is more than enough reason that you could easily run 3 or more of these. Making sure that your harvester resolves by chain blocking the DRYTRON is very, very, very good. Next, we move on to 3 heavy forwards and 3 machinery deployments, 6 more play starters, Heavy forward will search you any Infinitrack. It can also attach itself as a material to a card, allowing your River Stormer to get the search, and allowing your ZEUS some extra materials, by the way. You know, that's something to always be mindful of. And Machina Redeployment actually requires a discard, and it searches 2 Machina monsters with different names. If you discard a Machina card, you can actually add 2 Machina cards with different names. So this can not only search the trap if you have a Machina card to discard, but it will also search you your Citadel or Fortress, along usually with Metal Cruncher, which is a play starter. My locals is very spell and trap heavy, so I'm opting to run double Cosmic and Duster right now, but this is again one of the 13 tech spaces, or more if you want to run more than 40 cards, and want to make a really weird 60 card build, then be my guest, that you can run. Next, we're on triple copies of Overdrive. This is self-explanatory. It allows you to target a machine monster you control, spec a Machina monster from your deck with a different name, and then destroy that card. Noticing any synergy here, you get to target a machine, destroy it, spec a Machina, and then an Earth machine's been destroyed, so you might be able to spec Citadel, or maybe your bullet train's gone to grave, so you get a search, which gets you another search. This deck synergizes very well, and that's what makes this deck so good. You might just think this is a bunch of Earth machines smashed together, and I'm telling you it's a good deck. No, trust me, it's a good deck. And then, of course, this also has the effect that you can banish this card from the grave. Cannot do this in the same turn, by the way. To target 3 of your machine monsters that are banished or in the grave, shuffle them back and draw a card. A handy thing to know here is this targets exactly 3, whereas Tunneler targets 5. Now, let me get this right. One of these, I think it's this one, doesn't have to resolve all of them. I think it actually is Tunneler. Yeah, one of them doesn't have to resolve all of them. And by all of them, sorry to randomly confuse, it means the card text says up to. So if one of them got moved, like by a DD Crow or a call by, the effect still resolves. Some effects don't resolve because something's moved. One of these do, but I'm not going to read it because this segment's long as it is. We're opting for double Torrential, it's Torrential, board wipe, double EMR, potentially another board wipe, and double Trap Trick. So with this in mind, you've got Torrential being a board wipe, EMR being a board wipe, Citadel being a board wipe, and technically, you know, Duster being a board wipe. On the extra deck, we're running triple copies of Goliath. Like I said, pretty self-explanatory, and you do have to run 3 of these. You make this off all the Infinitracks. It also attaches a material, which allows you to get searches off of the River Stormer later on. We are running Ballista. This is also a part of the combo. Ballista, show up, thank you. It only requires 2 Earth machines to make, and when it's summoned, it lets you add Ancient Gear to your hand. This lets you add your box lets you add another one. It's another search. And next, we're running Double-Headed Anger Knuckle. This only requires 2 machines, and is also a part of the combo. During the main phase, quick effect, you can send a monster from your hand or field to the grave. This can be itself, by the way, to target a level 10 machine monster, special summon it in defense, but its position, but its effects are negated. Also, if this card is in your graveyard, you can send a card from your hand or field to the graveyard, special summon this card. It is constantly going to recycle back, you don't need any more than 1 of it. Infinitrack River Stormer is your generic rank 5 Earth Machine. That is going to allow you to take a Earth Machine monster from your deck to your hand, send it to the grave, or add it to your hand. It also has the effect which all the Infinitrack XYZs have, which is if it's in the grave, you contribute a machine or link monster you control to special summon it in defense. This searching any Earth Machine is pretty good, and it's just something to know in the future if we ever get any more Earth Machine support, but like I said, this can search GIZMEK Uka. Something we're not playing, but something to always bear in mind. ZEUS, because we are playing every rank in existence. Infinitrack Earth Slicer is a generic rank 9 that allows you to detach any number of materials from this card, target that many cards on the field, and destroy it. And it also has the effect of, if it's in the grave, like I said, tribute a machine to special summon it back. into Blathnir is a kind of a hand loop. It is a generic rank 9 and can be made turn 1 without locking you into the Brutal Dozer. Not something I'll be explaining in this video, but it is a pretty good combo. It requires Harvester and Machina Fortress to do. It lets you banish a card your opponent controls, banish a card from the hand, banish a card from the grave, or banish the top card of their deck. Probably the best rank 9 we have since VFD has been deleted from existence. Dingirsu, one of the best rank 8s in the deck, and oh, what do you know, it's also a machine, so that's a handy thing to know. When it's summoned, it sends, but also more importantly, you can attach banished machine materials to it, allowing you to make even fatter Zeuses, or just recycle your stuff back. So with the Tunneler being able to draw 2, Overdrive being able to shuffle stuff back, and Dingirsu being able to attach itself and get that thing back in the graveyard, you can kind of see how you never run out of resources with this deck. Next, we're on the whole train package, 1 Gustav Max, 1 Superdora, and 1 Juggernaut Libre. Gustav Max is your big 2k burn and usually gets slapped into Libre, and Superdora is the best rank 10 train you can make turn 1 to protect yourself. This thing's going to have a smacky 4k booty and also protect itself from card effects, or any other card by card effects. We are running the Ally of Justice Cycle Reader combo, so we opted for our Gear Giant X. Like I said, it just searches the Ally of Justice Cycle Reader, and I did mention it earlier, but Gaia Dragon the Thunder Charger is phenomenal in this deck. And our side deck, again, is completely format and local dependent. Dark Ruler No More makes it so that if your opponent's making those big Dragon Link boards, they become absolutely irrelevant, and you can easily beat over some big things, you know, Borrowload Savage with like 4,000 attack. It's okay, we have a big 6,000 attack train that can deal with that. You know, it makes it super easy. Unfortunately, you don't get the burn effect of the 2k, and of course you get no burn damage. But Dragon Link, as well as many combo decks that have been and gone, are kind of, this is my board, break it. If you do, I lose. If you don't, I win. Goes a match. Just another good going first card. Some stuff is kind of like immune to destruction, so Torrential, EMR, Citadel might not be as prevalent as possible. Droll is Droll, Lancia is Lancia. In my opinion, Lancia is the best card in this game. It stops so many decks and is the first card in my side deck every single time. You can go through any one of these decks and you will not find a Lancia somewhere in the main or side. And then Forbidden Droplet's probably the best going second card in the game. Well, that was a very long segment, kind of explaining the card by card choice, and now we're going to get onto the basic Draw 2 combo, and we will also explain the Gear Giant X, Ally of Justice combo, as DRYTRON is going to become the next big deck, and it is a combo I feel that you guys should know. So now we're going to show you the basic combo. This basic combo is a Draw 2 infinite resource loop combo that requires any one of these 4 cards. Like I said, you play 3 of each of these, which is 12 cards. In a 40 card deck is an 85% chance that you see one of them, which is a pretty high chance, but don't worry if you don't draw any of them. There is a few specific 2 card combos that can also achieve this. But we're going to go with the 1 card combos today and just show you how it's done. We're going to do this one with Infinitrack Harvester, as the second combo we're going to show is the exact same combo with a slight twist, but with the Metal Cruncher. Harvester is going to search you the Brutal Dozer, and next we're going to fast forward into the Infinitrack Goliath, getting rid of this for Brutal Dozer. Dozer effect activates on summon, allowing you to get Trencher, allowing you to make a rank 5 into Riverstormer. We're going to pause here because I kind of want to briefly explain why this combo is Nibiru proof. This combo is Nibiru proof because here is your 5th summon and here is the time to be Nibiru'd. If you get Nibiru'd here without confusing you, it is very simple. Trencher can revive back any Infinitrack. You use that to make Goliath, then you use the Riverstormer Engrave, tribute the Goliath to resummon the Riverstormer, attach the Goliath as material, and you can do this exact same combo with the exact same search, which you're going to see now. But we've not been Nibiru'd, we're going to go ahead and show you the rest of the combo uninterrupted. Riverstormer will search the second engine, which is the train engine, and go into Goliath. I did warn you, you were going to make 3 Goliaths, and believe me, I am correct. You're going to go ahead and link both of these off into the Ancient Gear Ballista, and Ballista is going to activate, allowing you to search for the only Ancient Gear card you run, which is Box. And box, when it's added, lets you add one with 500, so you're going to search for the one that you didn't get off Brutal Dozer. So if you went for Trencher, you're going to get Tunneler, and if you went for Tunneler, you're going to get Trencher. Next, you're going to get rid of the Ancient Gear Ballista in order to get the Infinitrack card that you didn't summon, and then you're going to make, you guessed it, your third copy of Infinitrack Goliath. You're then going to use the effect of Trencher Engraved to special summon any back. Really does not matter as long as it has a level and it's a legal target. You're then going to use both of these in order to make the double-headed Anger Knuckle. And you've done it! That's the combo, that's it. That's it. There's nothing else. That is the full combo. And what has it achieved? Well, we're about to tell you what it's achieved. You have 3 copies of Infinitrack Goliath in the grave, as well as a Ballista and a place starter, which means your Tunneler is live in order to draw 2. Here we happen to just conveniently draw into an Ash Blossom, which is really why it's important to be running those interactions. 13 cards means you do have a very high chance, higher than an 85% chance, I think, with the 5 less cards in your hand. And the less cards because you've got some engraved, you have a quite high chance of drawing some interaction if you're going to play 13 interaction pieces in those available slots. Going into your opponent's turn, because you do stuff in your opponent's turn, you're going to use the effect of Anger Knuckle, discarding box to get Bullet Train. Your next goal is to get that Bullet Train in the grave. This is achieved by Torrential Tribute, EMR, Machina Citadel, Machina Overdrive, your opponent destroying it by Battle Lock artifacts, any way that this thing needs to get back into the graveyard like that. Then what it's going to do is in your opponent's end phase, it is going to add the box back to hand, and because this isn't matter where it's added from, as long as it's added, you get the search, and you're going to probably search Anchor Drill. This sets up for your turn 3 play, which is pretty much as followed. You get to draw, and Anchor Drill will then summon box. This will then allow you to make any rank 4, any rank 8, anything that you want to summon. You also then have to remember, if your Anger Knuckle hasn't been destroyed, you can also get back your Bullet Train, allowing you to easily make anything like Link 4 based, Link 3 based, anything along those lines. You also don't have to specifically summon Ancient Gear Box with Anchor Drill, it can be anything. Bearing in mind, again here, if you were to sue this exact line of play and link everything off into something, let's just say, I don't know, Nightmare Unicorn with the drill, the box, and the bullet train. Bullet Train will also activate again in the end phase, getting you box and getting you another search, meaning it is an infinite resource loop. Next, we're going to move on to the Machina redeployment combo that does the exact same draw 2 combo you've just seen in a slightly different way, whilst also searching Ally of Justice Cycle Reader to stop those pesky little light decks that are running around. So this combo is going to be with Machina redeployment, and this is going to be the combo to search Ally of Justice Catasta in order to stop those pesky little light decks. In particularly, we've mentioned it several times, DRYTRON and ELDLICH. We're going to fast forward slightly as the combo is pretty self-explanatory. Machina redeployment is actually going to allow you to search Metal Cruncher. Metal Cruncher will reveal 3 copies of Brutal Dozer. If you already have the Brutal Dozer, not the end of the world, you go for something else. Then you're going to go ahead and spec Brutal Dozer, and Brutal Dozer is going to get you your Trencher. You have to get Trencher in this situation. In the last one you could have got either because you're going to get the other one after. For this one you do have to get Trencher. You're going to make Riverstorm, and this time you're going to search Anchor Drill. You're going to make Goliath, then you're going to use the effect of Riverstormer to tribute the Goliath to special summon itself. You're then going to use the Riverstormer just to make another Goliath, just to help you dump those cards. Next you're going to use Fortress in order to dump itself and the Anchor Drill to special summon itself back. You're then going to link your way into Ancient Gear Ballista. Ballista effect is going to activate Ancient Gear Box, and Ancient Gear Box is going to get you your last piece of the combo, which is Infinitrack Tunneler. Next, you're going to use Trencher to spec the Anchor Drill, and we haven't used Anchor Drill's effect yet, so Anchor Drill will allow you to special summon one from your hand. You're going to special summon the box, which will allow you to make Gig and X. It is an Earth Machine, so you aren't actually hindered by this because you are of course locked into Earth Machines. You get to search the Ally of Justice Cycle Reader and then link that off, or synchro that off, or get rid of that for the Tunneler in order to make Goliath. Goliath and Ballista will once again get you your Anger Knuckle, and once again you are in the exact same situation as last time with enough stuff in the grave to shuffle back for Tunneler for the draw 2 combo. And with that, that is pretty much the deck. That is pretty much all you need to know in order to play this deck, to at least a level where you're going to be getting wins and climbing up the dueling book ladder or ruining your local scene. There is several other decks, several other techs, and several other cards that you can play in this deck, but I hope that this video has helped you in order to at least get the basic grasp of how this deck works, the standard draw 2 combo, and the potential that it has. We didn't even slightly touch on the stuff that you can do with 2 card combos and 1.5 card combos. For instance, opening up an additional train, what happens if you open up box or open up bullet train, what other line of paths you can go down when you do this. Basically, when you do this, you can search any of your other extenders and just extend, and extend, and extend. As long as you basically achieve the draw 2 combo or the Gear Gain X combo if you are feeling it is necessary, and any other play on top of that, you're not going to lose. It is very hard to out some things in this deck. Everything is huge in attack and defense stats, and of course having the many on-field Regekis constantly come back is very difficult. Being able to trigger Citadel, which we didn't even touch in this video, turn in, turn out, is broken, and basically you're going to be triggering Citadel off of Machina Overdrive, which is why I feel it is important to be playing 3 copies of it and the trap trick. But if you have enjoyed this video, you should leave a like, comment and subscribe, and let me know if there's any other decks that you want to learn, because chances are I've either played them, or I'll go ahead and learn them and make this video as well. I am not the best player in the world, and I only just touch on the basics of the deck, but that is what makes these videos perfect, because if I can touch on the basics and you can get the basics down, you can then go on, and I would like to hear my name mentioned in the chat when you're sat on that podium. You're the first North American player to win the World Championships. You've finally beat those players in Japan and the OCG list, and it was all thanks to that I'm Screech video where he was talking about this deck and how goddamn chatty it was. So if you want to be the ultimate Chad, remember how I look, go back to the beginning of the video and look how I am now I have played this deck. And if you do, make sure you leave a like, comment and subscribe. It's been your boy Screech, guys. Peace!